Politics to follow in Gwinnett County, as Lawrenceville could soon make history if it goes with one city councilman's recommendation.
My Lawrenceville news reporter Sade Hurst was there when Councilman Toney Powell announced that he's stepping down. And if he does, he says he'd like someone close to him to replace him.
Yeah, Councilman Toney Powell was intentional with his recommendation. He wants Victoria Jones, who is the Downtown Development Authority, to fill his seat. If appointed by the City Council, she will be the first Black woman to sit on City Council. Powell said this is important given the diversity of the community. He said he feels that Jones is the right choice because of her passion for utilities and peoples, which definitely showed when I got a chance to speak with her. I asked her if her wheels are already turning. Here's what she told me.
I've had the opportunity to get to see a lot of things that are happening in Lawrenceville and take a front seat to those. So yes, there are a lot of things that I have ideas about.
Powell says there are still some things he wants to tie up with the Aurora Theater on the 19th. After that, he will step down. Now, to check out more of my conversation with Jones, check out our Facebook page, My Lawrenceville.